Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Morning Drive, Goodman and Haertl. Did I say Morning Drive with Goodman and Haertl? I knew I would eventually slip.
Oh, you had a little, yeah. Well, I didn't even notice it. I was so comfortable with it. So of course we bring attention to it.
Yeah, hot takes with Goodman and Haertl. How about that?
There you go. There you go.
I like that show a little bit better than the last one.
Okay.
You know why? Because this is the one that we're currently doing.
Oh, I thought it was because you were having to pay me less.
Maybe.
That might help.
So what do you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder now?
You know, they are what they are. I mean, it's inconceivable to me that they could lose 2 games in a row here, even with one being in Indiana, then coming back to Oklahoma City. So for me, it's a fait accompli. The better team is going to win. It's been an okay final. I mean, in general terms, it's been an okay final.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we've seen the whole the rolling out SGA as the face of the NBA quite thing. I thought Jalen Williams was the best player on the floor last night. But Oklahoma City is a load, and they are going to continue to be a load, and is going to be difficult to deal with for the next couple of years in the NBA. And they're going to be worthy champions, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. With that, I want to tell you about Roller Auction. The best way to buy what you want at the price you want is at Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. Tomorrow, Buy and Build Home Improvement is having an auction for kitchen cabinet sets, flooring, bathroom vanities, and more. Online bidding has started at rollerauction.com. Don't forget to go to rollerauction.com to learn about upcoming auctions. There are plenty of them. Get what you want at the price you want today at a Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
NBA draft is next week. Nuggets still don't have a full-time GM. News breaking yesterday, Tommy Belsettis, the assistant GM, will not be retained. Ben Tenzer, who was the favorite to win the job anyway, is the interim GM, so he is still in the running. But with that, does it really matter if Tenzer has the title interim or not heading into the draft?
Probably not, because any move that the Nuggets are going to make is going to be mandated from the top. I mean, Josh is obviously, if I'm saying obviously, then I'll be more firm about it. Right. Josh is running the show right now. I mean, I don't know the full description of what Ben Tenzer is doing, but any player movement at this point will be with a check mark from Josh Kroenke. And I am interested to see, I mean, we are in a pivotal time. They have no draft picks in either the first nor the second round. Desmond Bane was just traded out of the division or out of the conference by Memphis, a guy that is very similar to Michael Porter Jr., not in size, 6'6" against 6'10" or 6'11", but in terms of what they do from different positions, a shooting guard for Bane and a small forward for Michael Porter Jr., Memphis got a lot of future draft picks back in return. Maybe they're trying to go the Oklahoma City route. We'll see. But I do think it's interesting because after this, Eric, after, the draft, I mean, you're somewhat limited by what you can do to change your roster. You can still make trades, obviously, and you can still get free agents, obviously. But how much really do the Nuggets appear to be in that kind of market, at least in terms of free agency? I don't think they are probably in that market right now. So, it remains to be seen. But I think that Josh Kroenke's kind of running the show right now, and he should be, for goodness sakes.
Okay. I saw a lot of people on social media say, well, man, if they could get 4 first-round picks, for, Desmond Bane, couldn't they have gotten the same thing for Michael Porter Jr.? Now, Bane is a good defensive player, not a great defensive player. He's a terrific three-point shooter. So is Michael Porter Jr. And Desmond Bane doesn't play a lot of games when you compare it to an 82-game season. Let's look at what he has done when it comes to games played, specifically compared to Michael Porter Jr., right?
Right.
And I just had this up and now I can't find it. But
the numbers are significant. There's a difference, though. Michael Porter Jr., surprisingly to some, has had far more availability than a lot of players we could be talking about in this regard.
I have them.
All right.
Last season, he played 69 games. Not bad.
No.
Season before, 42. Season before, 58. It's not like he's overly available. So is it a fair point to say you can make the case? I'm not saying they have similar games, but you have similar attributes for sure. Could the Nuggets maybe last year have gotten maybe the same haul?
Maybe.
Or similar haul?
Maybe. But I think that the Nuggets are in a different mode than Memphis. If Memphis is loading up on future draft picks with the idea of being better somewhere down the road, the Nuggets are still in that what we consider to be a championship window. And that means that they've got to get assets that can help them now. Draft picks are great and they're wonderful. And depending on where they are, if they're lottery picks or something like that in a particularly fruitful year in the NBA draft, then you can get better immediately. No question about it. Nuggets really probably aren't in that position. They are in a position where they need assets. They need proven assets, players that can help them now on the roster, not players that can help them in 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may end up being. So maybe they could have gotten a similar haul than what Memphis got for Desmond Bane, maybe, but I don't think that that's the kind of haul that they were probably looking for. The irony is that Memphis got KCP in the deal.
Yeah. Well, here, when the Nuggets won the title a couple of years ago, do you remember who the second and third seeds were?
When they won the title,
yeah,
Memphis was the second seed.
Isn't it amazing how quickly that franchise has fallen off the map and now suddenly they are rebuilding, even with John Morant, who mercurial is a kind way to put his personality and career.
Well, he missed most of 2 years ago, and last year Memphis was fairly decent. I mean, they were fairly solid. They just didn't do anything into the postseason. Yep, and then they did the coach firing, a la in a kind of in advance of what the Nuggets ended up doing, interestingly enough. But I think Memphis it looks to me like Memphis is taking the path kind of like a mini Oklahoma City. Now, Oklahoma City and Stan Presti did this over a course of years. They built up their equity and they built up their the number of players and picks that they were going to have over a course of years, not just in 1 year. So, and it's tough to get better in the West. I mean, it's just harder to get better in the West than it is in the East. So good luck to Memphis. They're taking that tact. I think that the Nuggets are still in a we've got to win now kind of mode.
Because they still don't have a GM, full-time GM.
Right.
With the title. And you use the term, Josh Kroenke is the de facto GM.
Right.
He wasn't the de facto GM with Calvin Booth.
No.
Why not name Tenzer?
I don't know. I mean, but my sense is that if he was going to, it probably would have already been done. If it was a sure thing, then why not make? I mean, if you just want to maintain the generally understood order of things, hire Ben Tenzer first before you make Adelman official. We all knew that Adelman was going to get the job. But so my sense is that maybe he's not quite there with Ben Tenzer. I would be surprised if Ben Tenzer isn't still a part of the Nuggets moving forward. I think he understands where the bodies are buried and all of the – I think he just has a pretty good working sense for how this thing has has percolated over the last few years, but that may not be agreeable to a new general manager coming in.
Doesn't this feel a little dysfunctional to you? Not Rocky's dysfunctional, but
yeah,
really,
not there. I don't know if dysfunction. They're certainly taking a different path. Yes, I will certainly give you there. I'm not ready to go with full dysfunction. I mean, they're still winning 50 games and they're still viable in the playoffs. And,
no, that's not what I mean.
You know,
I'm not saying this is a dysfunctional franchise. What I'm saying is you still don't have a full-time GM. When was Edelman hired? A couple weeks ago?
Yeah, but almost a month. Yeah. 3 weeks ago, right?
And you still don't have anybody named? You almost have to think, is Josh on vacation in Europe right now and he doesn't have cell service?
Well, yeah, I don't know what Arsenal's season is looking like right now in the Premier League.
But does it really matter if you have somebody in that full-time role right now, if we're being completely honest, when you don't have any draft picks? You can make the case, you can make a move, but let's say they do make a move. With what?
I don't think they will make a move. I'm not sure they can make a move. And do they really need to make a move? A lot of what they would need now would be where you pick. How many guys are going to make differences for them at this particular point? So I think that your question is a good one. How much is a general manager with the Nuggets in their plight right now, as of right now, and the draft is next week, no draft picks for the Denver Nuggets. And I think we could sit here and debate whether or not they could really get better in the draft. Like I said,
let's put it in perspective how NBA teams look at the draft. How many picks do the Nuggets have in the first round over the next how many years? Very few.
Yeah, very few.
It seems like the magic number is like 3 or 4 in the NBA. We'll give you 3 or 4 future first-round draft picks. I mean, can you imagine if something like that happened in the NFL?
Oh, my
Outside
God.
of getting a franchise quarterback, you're not doing that. That's how valued first-round draft picks are, specifically later in the draft in theory.
Yeah, no question about it. A totally different animal in the National Football League, where you have 7 rounds in the draft and you can still have your roster very much affected by picks in the first 3 to 4 rounds. Even a team like the Broncos, and we've talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks, are going to get should get very nice contributions from their top 3-4 round picks. Guys that can make differences immediately, even in a 53-man roster, right? In the NBA, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I mean, Cooper Flagg obviously is going to make a difference. There are guys that are going to come right into the league that are going to make a difference, but generally that's not the case in the NBA. There is a strong learning curve for guys anywhere from the middle of the first round on down.
Is it just simply numbers when it comes to the difference between the NFL draft and the NBA draft? I think it is probably fair to say that you'll be fortunate if a pick in the top 20 hits. You have a better chance. Let me rephrase that. You're going to be fortunate if a pick hits 21 and higher, right? You only have 2 rounds anyway. Now, when you look at the NFL draft, it is a numbers game. Rosters can be upwards of 70, 80, 90 players all over the country. In college basketball, it's 15 players?
Right.
That's it. So I suppose if I sat and crunched numbers, maybe it would make sense. But I cannot imagine there is such a huge gap where you can get a really good player, an impactful player in the 4th round of the NFL draft. So that's 32, let's say, times 3. So what is that? 96 players in.
Right.
You can get a pretty impactful player. And that is the going into the 4th round. is it really just simply a numbers game when you look at the number of players to choose from for the NFL draft, because there are huge rosters as opposed to the college draft, which, you better be in the top 20 or you might as well trade all those picks.
Well, you play with 25 in the NFL, 11, 3 specialists, and then that doesn't even count your depth. So you're already starting with a much, much deeper talent pool than you do in the NBA. I mean, we talk about depth in the NBA, and really it's 9 men, 10 if you're talking about like Indiana and Oklahoma City, and we marvel at that, right? I mean, and it is, but I mean, I think the answer to your question is yes. I do think it's a numbers game. So many more players are needed to play at a high level in the NFL just by the players that you've got to have on the field at any particular time than there is in the NBA. Or, I mean, the NHL even is, I think, much more contingent upon your depth. And you've educated me on this over the years, all the way down the line. You've got to be good into your third line, into your fourth line in the postseason, period. You've got to be able to play, to function, and to function well at levels of depth. In the NBA, I mean, depth is great and it's good, but you can play pretty effectively with an 8-man rotation if you're smart about how you do it.
Listen, you can almost advance to the Western Conference Finals with 4.5 guys.
That's exactly right.
Look at the Nuggets. They basically played with 4.5 guys.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take Aaron Gordon out of it because it was, a game and a half in which he had that injury. Michael Porter Jr. never should have been playing in the playoffs to begin with. Good for him. Showed a lot of courage, tested fortitude in order to play. So they had 3.5 guys out there. Throw in Russell Westbrook, who is a healthy guy. You got 4.5 right there. Julian Strawther for a game. What else you got? They almost got to the Western Conference Finals with 4.5 players.
And let's not forget, as we have this conversation, and I'm glad that we started this way this morning, Julian Strawther is a first-round draft pick.
By the way, real quick.
Yeah.
Did I say 3.5? I meant 5.
No, you said 4.5. You said 4.5
on that. So wait, I want to make sure I have this right. You have Jokic, Brown, Murray, Gordon. That's 4.
Right.
You have a half a player. So I'm going to move this thumb halfway back towards my hand.
Yeah.
Half a player, right?
Right.
With MPJ.
PJ, yeah.
So it's 5.5 players.
Yeah.
Because I'll throw in Westbrook because he got the majority of the bench minutes.
And that's right. I would say that. I'd say 5.5 is the number. But remember that when we talk about players, impactful players, a first-round player. In the NFL, a first-round player is a guy that basically from 1 to 32, you expect to play or affect a team immediately. That's every single year. First-round talents. Julian Strawther is a first-round player in the NBA. Now he was late, and you can always cherry pick guys that were picked late. I mean, Jokic is obviously a famous second-round pick. There are always guys that are going to change it, but generally, Julian Strawther is still a guy that there are very serious questions about 3 years in. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, you don't know how good he is.
We just don't know
defensively. But remember, when you look at where he was picked in the draft, was he a top 20 pick?
No. But that's kind of my point. Yeah. My point is that you oftentimes don't have the impact even as a first round player. When 3 years later, we're sitting around talking about Julian Strawther, a couple years later, about Julian Strawther and whether or not he can play and be effective and contribute at the NBA level as a first round pick. I mean, that kind of tells you, just how tough a business it can be identifying those guys as difference makers, even in the first round.
Coming up after the break, if you could redraft last year's draft and you're the Denver Broncos and you have the number 1 overall pick in the draft, would you take Bo Nix with the top overall pick in the draft, knowing what you know now? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola, Jane, and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver. Welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. I want to tell you about Nola Jane. To me, it is one of the best restaurants in town. If you love great Cajun cuisine, you need to go get their crawfish etouffee. That is for starters. It is one of the best dishes I've ever had in my life. It is really that good. And when I talk about it, I think about it, and I'm like, boy, I could really use a bowl of that. And actually, I'm not even kidding. It is really that good. Bruce, have you ever eaten something that you think is so good that obviously you can't have it every day? And you're like, man, I would eat a bowl of that right now if it was sitting in front of me.
No question. Totally can relate to it. A lot of times it's like what you're saying. It can just be the entire place. And Nola Jane's is like that. I mean, there's so many things on the menu that you can have that feeling about. So you end up having the feeling about the place. It's like, I just need to go back.
Yeah.
Period.
If you like fish, it's a great place to go. Shrimp and grits, outstanding. Blackened catfish over dirty rice, outstanding. If you like great gumbo, their sausage gumbo is award-winning. Their cornbread is homemade, and it's fantastic as well. All homemade desserts, too. Go check them out. Nola Jane, they're off of Market Street in Lodo, right around the corner from Ball Arena. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Not sure if you are aware of this, but there were only 5 quarterbacks last season to pass for over 3,500 yards and rush for over 400 yards. The others were Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jaden Daniels. Of those 4 quarterbacks, does Nix resemble any of them?
Resemble?
Yes. Or
I think,
are those 4 guys all similar, and Nix is the one of these things doesn't look like the other?
yeah, maybe. I think there are similarities there are things that you can draw from all of them that are similar traits to one another. Jalen Daniels in particular is intriguing because he has shown pretty similar traits, especially doing it in the first year. He was that other rookie quarterback out of that class of 6, all first round picks, taken in the first 12 picks of the draft, that had the type of success, or more success, I guess, if you want to put it that way, than Bo Nix. He was a more consistent player, although not probably in the second half of the season. But Jalen Daniels would be the one out of that group that I think I would probably most closely align with Bo Nix, simply because they were both rookies. They had similar kinds of seasons with teams elevating offenses, making them better, getting them into the playoffs. So to me, those are the 2 that would be probably, at least in terms of results, the most similar.
Just for fun, let's play a game. Let's do a redraft roughly a year later. 6 quarterbacks taken in the opening 12 picks of last year's draft. If we could go back in time in the DeLorean, and let's say the Broncos had the number 1 overall pick in the draft, do you think they would take Bo Nix over again? Or do you think they would take Jaden Daniels or somebody else?
This is with the knowledge of what is going to happen a year later. Would you do the same thing? What they know now. I think it would be pretty hard to say, even with Jaden Daniels' success, because we talked about this at the time. Nix was the 3rd guy on their board. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels were the top 2 quarterbacks, and Nix was the 3rd. So, but now have we seen enough? Because every decision that they've made offensively from a standpoint of additions has been made with Bo Nix in mind. For me, it would be hard to rearrange, but I think Bo Nix would probably be their pick. That's their guy now, and I think they're very comfortable moving forward with him as their face of the franchise, or their franchise quarterback.
Well, let me dig down for a minute.
Sure.
You're saying that they have made moves to complement Bo Nix.
Mm-hmm.
I would respectfully disagree to this point.
Go.
They needed a running back. They didn't have one last year that they were happy with. They would have taken R.J. Harvey. They needed a tight end. Even if they had Jaden Daniels, they would have brought in Evan Ingram. So I don't understand what you mean by they brought in pieces to complement Nix. They didn't have those pieces last year. They just improved their skill position players. That's all they did. They would have done the same.
But now we're getting into verbiage. Any movements that are made to improve the offense are in effect moves that have been made because they have their quarterback.
Well, but they would have done
everything centers around the quarterback.
Right.
Any moves that are made essentially by effect are because you have your quarterback now. So I would argue that yes, they would have made those moves, but I mean,
it's not like
it's the quarterback.
But they're not Bo Nix specific moves. They are moves to help your quarterback. So if you have Daniels, you're making the same moves. If you're saying to me they brought in a guy who fits Nix's skill set, then that's one thing. You're not bringing in players to fit his skill set. You're just giving him more weapons. So again, I'm not trying to be argumentative.
But you are being somewhat argumentative, and that's okay. I like that about you. But here's the deal. If you don't have the quarterback, you're still looking for the quarterback.
If Jaden Daniels is on this roster right now, do they bring in Evan Ingram? Yes.
They bring in a tight end. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they bring in Evan Ingram was the guy that was available, so they brought him in. Mm-hmm. They would have done the same thing with Daniels. Would they have brought in Harvey? Of course they would have brought in Harvey.
Well,
they would have.
Maybe they would have, but we just don't know that. I mean, look. Is Barron still available in the first round? Because that's the thing that changed everything. It was going for Jay Barron because they had him in their top 14 on their big board. That's what changed everything. Now it wasn't waiting around for RJ Harvey. I mean, I don't know. We're arguing over the same thing. I think my answer to your question is yes. Bo Nix probably would have been their first pick based on the year now that they have had with him. Why would they have given up having Bo Nix, who you've already had success with, you're already designing an offense with, you're already comfortable with the processing and everything that he's brought to the table? Even if you believe that Jaden Daniels, if you want to believe this, is ahead in terms of development or what he did last year, if you want to believe that, fine. But why would you change anything with a guy that has brought you to where they are right now?
Okay, this is total sports talk, radio talk. Total. Even though it's a podcast. If there was an offer on the table, Jaden Daniels for Bo Nix, straight up, should the Broncos make it?
No. Why would they do that?
Okay. I would not make it either, but for a very different reason than yours. Okay. I think Nix and Peyton are a perfect fit. Now, I am not suggesting
that's not different than mine at all. That's the reason.
Okay.
I mean, that is the reason.
Okay.
And you've got enough proof. I mean, what more do you need to know?
Okay, for me, it's 1A and 1B. 1A is the reason that you and I agree on. What would be your second reason? Would it be 1 and 2 or 1A and 1B? Because I have a strong 1A like you do, same thing, but I have a 1B on why I'd rather have Nix. What would be your second reason for wanting Nix over Daniels?
I think my second reason would be where I feel his development. I still think he has a even higher ceiling for him. I'm not saying he has a higher ceiling than Jaden Daniels. I can't speak to Jaden Daniels.
I'm taking the guy with the higher ceiling. So that certainly wouldn't be my answer. I'm taking the guy with the higher ceiling, period. Well, I'm not, the higher ceiling.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm not sure Jaden Daniels has a higher ceiling than Bo Nix. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
you may be. Why?
Because he is beyond. He is more athletically gifted than Bo Nix. He
Wow.
just is.
Like, what do you mean? More like in what? In what way?
Running with the football.
Boy, I don't know.
I can tell you right now, Bo Nix, in his best season of his career, will never rush for nearly 900 yards. How's that? You think you think he's that guy?
And he won't be asked to.
I understand that, but I don't think.
And there's a big difference there. You know what? I'll use your answer to help mine. If you've got a guy running for that many yards, chances are he won't be around very long to run for that many yards as a quarterback.
Ding, ding, ding. That's my 1B. Even if Bo Nix was asked to run for nearly 900 yards,
right?
That's not his game.
No.
That is Jaden Daniels' game.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, the reason why I would rather have Nix is look at Kyler Murray. He's missed a lot of games due to injury. Lamar Jackson has missed a lot of games due to injury. Jaden Daniels has played one season. We'll see what happens with him. Josh Allen hasn't. He's nearly 240 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels is 210. That's why I would take Nix. Because he's like Patrick Mahomes in this sense. Patrick Mahomes is not a running quarterback. He runs when necessary. He runs when he needs to pick up the tough yards on third down. Every once in a while, you're going to call a couple of plays for him, just like Patrick Mahomes. What I love about Nix is his processor. And I'll be honest, I don't watch enough Washington football to know.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels' processor, from what I understand, it's really fast.
Yep.
And that's why, because, I followed him enough when he was in college. That's why I liked him better than Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I liked Daniels' head better than I liked Caleb Williams' head on the shoulders.
Yeah. Jalen Daniels, you could see it early in his career at Arizona State. He was a dynamic talent at Arizona State, even before, he got further on down the road and played in the SEC. And obviously we know the type of player that he is now. He is going to continue to be that. But I think that the Broncos feel like they have a symbiotic relationship between head coach and quarterback that you can't fake. They are on the same page. They are on the same level. They are on the same levels of understanding. Bo Nix is he receives the message extremely well. And to your point, processes extremely well, both in the moment and when he's going through things about, hey, how do I want to work this play? What are the things that I'm thinking about? What am I doing about? There's a lot that goes into processing. There's processing in the moment. There's processing about the job and how you go about it. I think he is so closely aligned with Sean Payton that it gives you tremendous hope and excitement about where this thing moves, not only this year, but years down the road, as long as he maintains his health.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.